Someone loves you, you know this. You can list the evidence. They show up, they check in, they stay when staying is inconvenient. And you still, in the quiet moments, in the moments when everything is technically fine, feel it. That specific hollow feeling. The one that doesn't have a clean name. Not loneliness exactly, not sadness exactly. Just a sense that something is missing, even when the evidence says nothing should be missing. And the part that makes it worse is what comes after the feeling. The guilt. I have people who love me. What is wrong with me? Why can't I just feel it? Why does this keep happening in the middle of a life that should feel like enough? You are not broken. You are not ungrateful. You are not someone who doesn't know how to receive love. You are someone whose nervous system learned something early about what love feels like. And the love you have now doesn't always match. The template and that gap between the love that exists and the love you can actually feel is not a character flaw. It is a wound that has never been properly named. Until now, feeling unloved when people around you clearly care is one of the most confusing and isolating experiences a person can have because you cannot explain it without sounding ungrateful. You cannot justify it with evidence because the evidence points in the opposite direction, and so you carry it quietly, wondering if you are the problem, wondering if something in you is fundamentally unable to receive what other people seem to receive without effort. But here is what is actually happening. The feeling of being unloved is rarely about the love that exists now. It is almost always about the love that existed then or didn't, in the specific way that a younger version of you needed it to. Your nervous system built a template for what love feels like. From the earliest experiences of connection you had, and when the love you receive now doesn't match that template, even if the love is real, even if the love is good, the nervous system doesn't register it as love. It registers it as something nice happening to someone else. Here are 5 reasons why you feel unloved, even when people genuinely care, and what it actually means about you. There is a concept in psychology called love languages. But before it became a personality quiz, it was a clinical observation. People give and receive love in different forms. Words, touch, time, action, presence. And when the love being given and the love being needed are in different forms, the love doesn't land. Not because it isn't there, because it arrives. In a language the receiver was never taught to recognize. Think about your childhood. Maybe there was provision, the bills were paid, the food was there, the practical needs were met, and maybe there was absence of something harder to name. The moment where you needed someone to sit with you and they solved the problem instead. The moment you needed to be heard and received advice instead. The moment you needed warmth and received competence instead. The people who raised you may have loved you genuinely in the language they had, but if their language didn't match what you needed, the love existed and still didn't reach you. And the child, who cannot understand the complexity of adult limitation, doesn't conclude, they love me but in a different way. The child concludes, something about me is not quite enough to produce the love I needed. That conclusion doesn't disappear with age. It becomes the lens through which every subsequent love gets evaluated, and a lens built from absence tends to find more absence, even when presence is right there. Here is the one that explains the most. The way you experience love as an adult was largely shaped by how consistently love arrived when you were too young to have any choice about receiving it. If love arrived consistently, if the people around you were reliably warm, reliably present, reliably there when you reached, your nervous system learned something very specific. Love is safe, people stay, needing is allowed. But if love arrived inconsistently, if the warmth came sometimes, and sometimes it didn't, if the person was present one day and somewhere else emotionally the next, if love felt like something you could have, and then suddenly couldn't, without knowing why, the nervous system learned something different. Love is unpredictable. People leave or change without warning. Needing is dangerous because what you need might not be there when you need it. And here is what that does to every relationship you have afterward. Even when someone is consistent, even when someone shows up reliably every time, without fail, the nervous system that learned love is inconsistent cannot fully settle. it stays alert, waiting for the moment the warmth disappears, scanning for signs that the consistency is about to end, bracing, even in the middle of being held, for the moment the holding stops. And from inside that bracing, the love doesn't feel like love. It feels like the calm before something changes. You are not incapable of receiving love. Your nervous system is following the rules it learned in an environment that required those rules to survive. Here's something that happens to people who have spent years feeling unloved. They develop a relationship with the waiting. Not consciously, not deliberately, but the expectation that love is something that will eventually be confirmed or revealed, or proven beyond doubt, becomes its own kind of obstacle. You are in the relationship, but a part of you is standing slightly apart from it, watching, waiting to feel the thing that would finally prove this is real. And that standing apart, that watching and waiting, creates a distance between you and the love that is right there, trying to reach you. It is like standing at a window in a warm room, watching the cold outside and wondering why you are not warm. The room is warm. You are in the room, but something in you is still facing the window. Psychologists describe this as being emotionally present but internally unavailable. Not because you don't care, because caring and letting care in are two separate things. This version is someone who cares enormously but cannot let the caring in, because letting it in requires trusting that it will still be there once they stop holding their breath. And for someone whose nervous system learned that love is temporary, stopping holding your breath feels like the most dangerous thing you could possibly do, so you wait for proof that is already there, for certainty that connection, by its nature, cannot provide. And the love, real and present, waits on the other side of a wall you built to protect yourself from a hurt that happened a long time ago. Think about the moments someone has shown you they care. Not the big ones, the small ones. They remembered something you mentioned once, months ago, and brought it up, not because it was important, but because they were listening when you said it. They checked on you on a day that wasn't special, just because they thought of you, and thought of you enough to say so. They stayed in the conversation when it got uncomfortable, because they cared more about understanding you than about the conversation being easy. They showed up quietly, without announcement, without requiring you to acknowledge what the showing up cost them. Did you feel that as love, or did you file it under, "That's just what they do. That doesn't really count"? That's not the same as actually feeling loved. Here is what happens to people who grew up feeling emotionally unseen. They calibrate love to the dramatic version, the version that would be impossible to miss, the version that finally, undeniably proves something that their nervous system has been unable to accept from ordinary evidence. And because ordinary love is ordinary by definition, the evidence keeps getting dismissed. Not because the love isn't real, because the template for what real love looks like was set by the absence of love. So the presence of love has to be extraordinary to register at all. The love you are looking for is already arriving in ordinary packages that your nervous system keeps returning to sender, marked not enough. When someone is genuinely kind to you, does something in you relax, or does something in you go slightly on alert? Why are they being this nice? What do they want? This won't last. Wait for it. This is not paranoia. This is a nervous system that learned at a very early age that warmth is not something you can count on. And a nervous system that learned warmth is unreliable does not switch off that learning because you are now an adult in a different environment with different people. It stays alert. It scans. It finds the thing in every kind interaction that could be evidence that the kindness is conditional or temporary or about to change. And it almost always finds something, not because the something is real, because a nervous system looking for evidence of its existing belief is extraordinarily good at finding it. So the kindness lands wrong, not because the person wasn't kind, because your nervous system intercepted it before it could reach the part of you that needed it, and translated it from an act of genuine care into a question about when it will end. This is not your fault. This is not a flaw you need to overcome through willpower or positive thinking or deciding to trust more. This is a pattern that was installed before you had any say in the installation, and patterns can be changed. Not overnight, not by deciding to, but through the slow accumulation of experiences, where the warmth was allowed to arrive and stayed long enough for the nervous system to begin updating its prediction. Someone loves you, and you still, in the quiet moments, feel the hollow. And now you know the hollow is not evidence that the love isn't real. It is evidence that something in you learned very early to live without it, and built walls to survive that. And those walls don't come down just because the thing they were built to protect against is no longer outside. You are not broken. You are not ungrateful. You are not someone who doesn't deserve love or cannot receive it. You are someone whose nervous system is still protecting you from a hurt. That happened in a different time, in a different room, with different people who were not able to give you what you needed. The love you have now is not that room. The people who care about you now are not those people, but your nervous system doesn't know that yet because nobody told it that the danger has passed. You can tell it now, not with words. With the slow, deliberate, sometimes terrifying practice of letting the love that is already there actually land, one small moment at a time, one ordinary act of care that you choose not to return to sender. One moment of warmth that you let reach you instead of waiting for it to prove itself first. The love is there, it has been there. The only thing left is letting yourself finally feel it.